and I am one of the wardens here. And we're providing an update this morning on the property and the finances of the church. It's aimed at the partners of the church here. So if you're a guest, you're very, very welcome. And I apologise for what you're about to sit through. You're allowed to tune out if you like. But for the rest of you, please strap yourselves in as we go through these things. Now, I thought, I'm going to actually do this one first. Our mission at St John's is to connect all people to Christ and to grow in our love for him as we serve him together. That means that all the ministry we undertake, all the resources that we have, are all in the purpose of that mission. So we're going to take a look at our property and finance in that context. How do they support the ministry and mission of St John's? We'll start with a brief review of some of the property improvements in the last 12 months. Now, in the last 12 months, we've replaced the side fence. We've refurbished the side rooms of the church out that way, removing the old and dangerous cupboards, and we've patched and painted, and thank you very much to Clive and Deb Whedon for that. We've installed air conditioning throughout the church complex. We're going to enjoy that today. During the year, we've applied for several grants, including one for solar power, which we were not successful for, but the federal government grant did fund the air conditioning in the small hall. We recently replaced the blinds in the church here, and thank you very much to our anonymous donor. We've upgraded our sound systems and PA and IT equipment, and we can thank Marcus for that and his hard work there. We've also received a donation for outdoor benches, which we're yet to install. Thank you to our anonymous donor. We've cleaned out the garage and most of the storage rooms. We've replaced the doors to the garage. We've added accessibility aids to the toilets. We've done much more, and of course we've painted the exterior of the church and did a clean up of the garden. So a big thank you to all ministry partners for your ongoing work, cleaning, repairing, helping, mowing, giving and praying. As we move on to our finances, I thought it would be helpful to do so in the context of me asking and answering 4 questions. The first is, what do we own? Then I'll ask, where does our income come from? Then I'll ask, what do we spend? And for those paying attention, you'll know that really I'm covering the balance sheet and the profit and the loss in describing those. And then we'll move on to, what are our plans? Please understand that this isn't intended to be an AGM-style presentation of the quality that Graham gives. This is a snapshot only. I'm leaving the best for Graham for later. So first, what do we own? So this church complex, all the buildings, the rectory and 2 investment properties are held on trust on behalf of our parish, and they're worth about $14.5 million. In terms of cash, we have approximately $335,000 spread around a bunch of bank accounts at the moment and some term deposits. And from that amount, we've set aside some funds for certain purposes. And I want to highlight 2 of them to you. The first is that we have $65,000 set aside to fund ministry staff growth and development. It's not training courses, it's the hiring of new staff. We have $83,000 set aside to make improvements to ministry property. Now, I want you to remember these as I will reference them later. So that's a snapshot of our assets, and we are blessed to have negligible liabilities. On to our next question. Where does our income come from? Now, we usually have 3 main sources of income. First and primarily is offertories. That's from you people here, the partners in ministry. We don't receive operational funding from the diocese. Second, and significantly, we have the income from DRV offertories and a grant from Anglicare, and together these cover the 5 o'clock PM service costs and chaplaincy at DRV. And thirdly, we have investment property income. Now this year we've also received significant income from specific donations and grants for the air conditioning, for the blinds and for the outdoor benches. At the end of the day, we were about $40,000 behind in budgeted offertory, but we were blessed with donations of about $40,000 for those specific purposes. So we had budgeted this year to fund an assistant minister who was, well, we were expecting might start on the 1st of July. So we had half a year's budget for assistant minister. And that means that the offertory shortfall hasn't had a major impact. That's an expense we didn't have. And we were able to improve our property with those property donations. So no, we don't need to raid our piggy banks to prop up our income. Our next question is, what do we spend? The vast majority of our expenses are staff. And you can see we came in under budget primarily because we weren't able to appoint an assistant minister this year. Notice though that we spent way over budget on property repairs. However, if you include the full year budget, and if you include the donations for specific property projects that we received, you can see that we only came over by 18,000. That's so far. We're going to spend some more. I'm going to come back to that a little bit later. So, do we need to raid our piggy banks to pay for all that we spend? No, we don't need to. We have spent within budget, just a little bit above, and I'm coming back to a little bit more explanation. So on to our next question. What are our plans? And do we need to raid the piggy banks to pay for them? First, we do plan to continue developing and improving our ministry property. We have heaps of ideas and suggestions. They're flashing up on the screen behind me. I'm not going to try and list them all, but we do have a number of property priorities. Our priorities are the projects that are urgent or are achievable or are already funded or are expected to bring the most improvement to ministry. Ideally, a combination of all of the above. Now, the projects that we've identified as priorities are, I'll go through a few of them. First, we expect to purchase and install 3 to 4 outdoor bench seats. Oops. Oh, I did this earlier as well. I just clicked forward unintentionally, and I've managed to find my way back. Thank you. Second, we were addressing heaps of jobs at the working bee, including widening the driveway, probably, some painting, more clearing out. We're decluttering furniture and fixtures from our halls and the church building, and we're clearing out church house. Third, of all the major possible projects that we could consider fixing up around the place, we've looked seriously at building a new kitchen, and we've considered many options for installing accessible toilets. We've sought quotes on both of these, and we're considering how and if we can pursue these. So, fourthly, that leaves the next imminent project, which is a refresh of church house. Now, the aim in the refresh of church house is to make the space more suitable for ministry and more usable for our staff. So in late November, we'll be replacing the carpets throughout church house with something from this century. The rest of our refresh is focused upon the entry and the living room, where we'll be removing most of the furniture and the fixtures, including the old air conditioning units. We'll paint and we'll refurnish. We're also replacing some of the glass there that isn't safety glass, and it's near where children can get to it. Now, we'd love to be able to refresh the church house kitchen soon too, installing a simple office-style kitchen with just what's needed, but new and clean and working. Now, we'll be using some of the funds set aside for ministry property improvements to make these renovations to church house living room. But we don't have anywhere near enough to address all of the property priorities that we have, particularly the kitchen. So that's our property plans. We also have staff plans. Our church has been praying for an assistant minister for years, and God willing, we'll be able to appoint one early next year. How do we fund the position? To my mind, it's a question of how much extra money we need to find each year. And to answer that question, we've calculated a vanilla 2023 budget. We've taken out all of the one-off expenses like the air conditioning donation and expenses and other grants and things like that. And to that vanilla budget, we add on the necessary expenses to fund our assistant minister. This gives us our 2023 budget with assistant minister. Now the question then becomes, to fund the assistant minister, how much extra income is needed each year on top of what we actually received in 2023? We're forecasting out. How much? And the answer is that we need to add about $50,000 in income each year. Put it another way, all things considered, we need to provide funding of about $50,000 per year from 2024 to afford the assistant minister. Thankfully, we are blessed and well prepared for this this additional expense. We have $56,000 in donations received and pledged. And I'm thrilled to announce that just in the last 2 weeks, the Wollongong Regional Council has agreed to provide funding to the value of $70,000 over 2 years for an assistant minister at Sutherland, so long as we appoint one early next year. This means we have $126,650 set aside specifically for the assistant minister. Now, we intend to allocate these funds in decreasing amounts over the next 5 years to smooth out the impacts on our budget. So in 2024, we'll apply $45,000 of our savings towards the assistant, meaning we only need to increase our income by $5,000. In 2025, we'll apply $35,000, meaning will only be a $10,000 increase on the previous year, and so on. In this way, there's a modest increase. But remember, we also have the $65,000 set aside in the ministry development provision, which may be used to help further smooth any shortfall over the years. But I wanted to draw your attention to what we're talking about here. While we have $126,000 set aside, if we're looking just at the next 5 years with an assistant minister, we need $250,000 above what we're currently receiving. We have 126, it's a nice halfway point. We still need $125,000 more over the next 5 years. So do we need to raid our piggy banks? Our existing plans and our financial position are far from concerning. We don't need to raid our piggy banks. We're blessed to be fairly well prepared for the plans we're embarking on, yet we are still stepping out in faith. Over the next 5 years, we need a further $125,000 for the assistant minister, and there is so much we could do to improve the property for the sake of ministry here. So from a ministry and mission perspective, why not crack open the piggy banks? We want to connect all people to Christ, to grow together in our love for him. We want to serve him together. And we have plenty of opportunities to grow our ministry and ministry capacity at St John's that needs support from all of our ministry partners. So please pray. Please continue cleaning and mowing and maintaining and ministering. Please come along to the Working Bee on Saturday the 4th of November. Please consider increasing your regular giving. Please consider setting up a bequest. Please consider giving for a special project such as the accessible toilet or kitchen, or to help to fund the assistant minister. Please continue in prayerful partnership in our wonderful ministry here at St John's. Thank you for your patience and for your partnership.